I was trying to sleep, couldn't. Felt like this was pulling at my heart, and my brain was spinning and spinning and spinning. And it all comes down to I have to check the shot before I can go any further. So we're going to check the shot and see what this looks like, and we'll go from there. My name's Jen. I'm 38 years old, from Texas, and I crochet blankets. And I was laying there, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to put my phone up. I'm going to go to sleep. And I couldn't sleep. And this fire of passion just getting warmer and warmer and warmer. And I'm just like, you know what? Like, I'm going to stop putting this off till tomorrow. I'm going to stop putting it off until tomorrow. I'm going to go do it. I don't care if anybody, like, there's no better time. Like, everybody's asleep. The baby's asleep. The big kid's asleep. My husband is asleep. And I do some of my best creating when I'm alone. And so I was like, you know what? No, I'm going to do it. And ultimately what started this fire for me was a video that I watched. So crocheted blankets for a really, really, really long time. I started, I would say probably 13 years ago. God, oh my gosh, I can't believe it's been that long. Has it really been that long? Wow, it's really been that long. Okay. So I have a passion for making blankets, specifically blankets. And a group of women who are no longer in my life taught me, one specific woman, I guess, she really got me turned on to it. And then kind of just took off with it on my own, watched YouTube and stuff, and started following some content creators before I knew what content creators were, if you know what I mean. Before I go too far, I want to make sure this is actually recording, because I don't think I can tell this story twice with as much passion. So hang on. This is what it's like when you make content by yourself. So, followed some content creators, and I started getting going. And I love making blankets. Very, very special reason for me. And a very special reason for me, because why blankets are so important to me and mean so much to me, and why I make them for others, is because I used to have a closet blanket. And so when I was in the midst of my abusive relationship and situation, I took a blanket to the closet, because the smaller the space, the safer I was. And I had a closet blanket, and it was a crocheted closet blanket. It kept me safe. It literally, it was so heavy. And I tear up thinking about it, and I'm sorry. But I slept a lot in that closet, on that carpet floor, with my pillow, my blanket, and my English bulldog. And that's why blankets mean so much to me, because it was the only hug that I had gotten. It was the only security that I had that night. It muffled out the entire world. It was warm. It was a lot. And I have a hard time, even still, when I'm having a really hard day, not retreating to a closet or a super small space. Because you can close the door, it's small, you can make it quiet, you can make it dark. I did a lot of praying in that closet. I did a lot of alone time in that closet. Or closets, I should say. But yeah. So, I learned how to crochet. And I have been making blankets, and making blankets, and making blankets. About a year and a half ago, I gave away my last closet blanket. I no longer have a closet blanket. I finally reached a place of healing and safety and security. I didn't have to have a closet blanket. It's a big deal. So, I got something else to share with y'all. I think it's going to be okay. So, I wrote a poem when I started making blankets explaining why they brought me so much peace. And I mean, I make blankets, y'all. This one right here it's got a home. I need to mail it. This one is mine. It stays on my bed. I should say ours. This stays on our bed. And super heavy, super warm. You have a sick kid. This is what they want. They want this blanket. So I started this one after my divorce, after I left, and I was in my apartment by myself. That's when I started this blanket. I never intended it to be as big as it is. I had a queen size bed, and I was like, it's going to be huge. You know, it fits perfect, my king size bed that I sleep in now. I think that says a lot to God knew. I think he knew. And this one right here is my oldest kiddos. This one's our babies. This one's my bonus son. This one is JoJo's. This one's Haley's. I made this one for her when she was super little. She was super big into Spider-Man. This is also my oldest. This is one of her first blankets that I ever made. It's still together. It's definitely loved. It's one of our favorite blankets. She doesn't use it, but she refuses to get rid of it. I have made so many blankets in these years. I have made blankets that have gone on to NICUs and covered isolettes of babies, twins. I've made blankets that have gone to burn hospitals. I've made blankets that have gone to widows. I've made blankets that have gone to single children who didn't know how they were going to make it when their parents weren't still here. I've got blankets from people who've struggled. I've made blankets for people who've struggled in life, who I haven't heard from in years, and then I'll get a random text message and say, you know, your blanket is still really loved. It hits, y'all. I pray so much when I make a blanket. I pour a lot of love into a blanket. And I think I'll have to do my due diligence and find that poem that I wrote when I first started making blankets. Because it really does mean something. I'm sorry for crying. I didn't think I was going to cry. Sorry. Nobody likes the sound of somebody who's snotty. Shape it up. Sorry. I get messages often about people who've received my blankets who still have them and the impact that they make. It's crazy to me. But I made them for a person so they wouldn't feel alone. So if that was the only thing they had in the closet, I'd feel like they had somebody with them who cared. That's pretty crazy. I never really think I've really shared why I make the blankets or been open enough about why I make my blankets. But I make them because that's where it started. I get to deliver a piece of hope, a hug to someone. But part of the poem talks about, this is what they call a scan ball yarn. At least that's what I call it. And I've used all kinds of different types of yarn. I've got at least 3 projects going on in here. I got this beautiful blanket that it's got a home already. I know the beautiful woman that this is going to go to, who is battling cancer. And she's got an amazing son and amazing daughters. And she's a good person. That's where this one's going. I got one in here that has started, but not for anybody specifically yet. This is a couple different balls of yarn put together.
But the point being, it doesn't matter the type of yarn that you've got. It all starts the same. It all starts the same. It all looks pretty on the outside, full of potential. But for me, when I start a blanket, I don't start with the pretty outside. I dig deep and I find the mess. And that's what I start with. I start with the mess. And when I first started making blankets, God spoke to me. It's in my poem that I said with my blankets. Because we're all so caught up in looking perfect. We're so caught up in looking perfect. But we all have the same crazy on the inside. We all have the same messes. We all have the same stuff we're dealing with. It can still, regardless of how this looks, this is what it looks like when you actually put it to work. So as hard as you want to look like you got everything together and you're beautiful and you're fluffy and you're soft and everything's great, stuff is still tangled on the inside. So when you finally pull it all out and you lay it all out and you straighten it all out, it turns into something beautiful. It's the truth. And that's what I felt like I was compelled to share and talk about and put a unique perspective to it. So I ran around the house and I gathered up all my blankets that I could remember where they were that I've got right now. And I think this is all of them. I try not to keep them, honestly. Like, I have more than enough blankets in my home that everybody's got one that I've made. All of my kids have one. I have one. Jason and I share the big one. You know, like, we all have a blanket. Some of us have a couple of them. You know, and some of my kids have 2 blankets. They've got one for me and one for Dad's house or their other parents' house because I know they definitely need a blanket there. You know, I've got simple yarn, puffy yarn, cuddleful yarn. We're all different. We all look different. We all have different colors. But we're all the same crazy, knotted up junk on the inside. We're all dealing with something. We all feel like we can't talk about it. We all feel like nothing can be made of this. So let's just tuck it all back away. Let's just make the outside pretty, right? Let's just tuck this away. I'll show you what I'm talking about. Let's just tuck this all away. I'm sorry for my sniffles. Let's pretend like that didn't even happen. Like we didn't just try to air it all out, right? Or take it to God. It's still good. Still got the wrapper on it and everything. We're good. But I know what we all look on the inside. That's Jesus right there, man. Jesus is like, I see you. I know. And I'm going to take all that mess you got in there. We're going to knit something out of that. That's absolutely true. And I don't know what my purpose is. I don't even know really what's going to happen. But my reasoning for making blankets is because I don't want anybody to feel alone. And I got blankets all over. I mean, I got blankets Hawaii, Washington, California, Maryland, Oklahoma, Texas, Colorado. I got blankets all over the place. I have mailed them all over the place. And I buy yarn with what money I can gather up. And I make another blanket. And then maybe I wait, save up a little bit of extra money, and then I go make a blanket. This is nothing I do for profit. It's literally I make a blanket and I give it away. And domestic violence survivors, kids, cancer patients. I've even made blankets for an organization called Now I Lay Me Down to Sleep, which is for mothers whose children were born sleeping. I've also gone in and photographed babies who have been born sleeping. And photograph their parents hello and goodbye. That's hard. Um, so that's why I make blankets. Hmm. So I think I will find my letter that I used to send with my blankets, my poem, whatever you want to call it. And, making a blanket's not cheap either. I was just looking at the price. They're like $5. And so, I don't know, you've probably got, well, this yarn's probably a little bit more expensive. Yeah, so like this yarn's $14. Sometimes I'm not lucky and I don't get your yarn on sale. So there's that. Um, every yarn price is different. But yeah, it's pretty crazy. Yeah, so I'll find the letter and I'll do a voiceover for you, just a video or a picture of some of the blankets that I've completed and finished. Oh, it feels good to tell that story. It's crazy. Now I'm excited to go edit this so I can put it up for y'all with all my crying and everything else. So I think my content is going to be more genuine, more me, more what I'm struggling with, where I've come from, and that we're all just trying not to be a tangled up mess on the inside. Or we're all trying to hide the tangled up mess on the outside or the inside. But once you lay it all out, it's a lot easier to make something pretty from it. It's pretty crazy. So let me know. Yeah, let me know what you think. I hope I inspired somebody. Hey, y'all. I'm Jen, 38 years old, and I crochet blankets. It's nice to meet you.